This is Radar for On the Radar Entertainment Blog, coming with another edition of movie reviews and observation number 17. As I stated before, pandemic shut down library, only had a few on me, went to another library, finished those, went through all my list of 2019 movies that came out to DVD, either through the library or through a website. And then I ran out of all the physical copies because I thought, okay, I'm done with it, and I watched the final four on the website. Then I decided I'm gonna go back and look. And so last week I started watching some movies that were added to the Coming Home Videos movie that comes from Wikipedia's list. Because let's say you look at it in June, for the remaining of the year, they make months later add stuff. So I did start watching those new movies. Now the first movie I did watch was a movie that I still had a physical copy to, Superman Red Son. It's one of those standalone DC comic book stories that they decided to make, like The Killing Joke or Harley Quinn and Batman, etc., etc. Those type of movie. Where instead of Superman being American, he's Russian and he's come Stalin's pawn, and then takes over for Russia and tries dominating the rest of the world because he wants his ideals and his political views to be the rest of the world. He wants some utopia with socialism and stuff like that. It doesn't take place present time. It takes place before the Cold War, so it makes it even worse that there's a superpowered being that you're afraid of. He befriends Wonder Woman, but they add that she's lesbian, la la la, really stupid. There's a Russian Batman who also doesn't like a superpowered being who's not from here. He's an alien, along with Brainiac, controlling people of his country. So he'd rather the people themselves do it. Lex Luthor is obviously in the movies married to Lois Lane. He building all this technology to stop Superman in Russia. It's cool. He becomes president. That makes James Olsen black. He's vice president. Lois Lane becomes Secretary of State. She's in the movie, so it's interesting as well. They get three major Green Lanterns. Hal Jordan, Guy Gardner, and John Stewart as like a military flying troop. You know, people in the Air Force to be Green Lanterns because Lex Luthor powers to power. So an interesting movie with all these familiar DC characters, with just the idea Superman is Russian and not American, and how does that affect the world? Does he realize that he can't spread communism throughout the world? He just has to let the people be the people. So it was a very interesting movie, and it wasn't that long. Then the next movie I watched was one of the movies from online. It was called Angel of Mine. It had Luke Evans and Yvonne Strahovski and a woman named Naomi Rapace, who I obviously never heard of. On the box, they list the names because she's the first one, but they should have her under her name. But either way, it's one of these movies that could be described as a horror film because thrillers don't really have there aren't their own their description. They could be a drama, they could be a horror film, and it's basically someone loses their daughter in a hospital fire with other mothers and babies. That affects her relationship with her husband, her child, and her parents. She's flaky. She's not thinking about things. The ex-husband wants full custody of the kid. Then she sees a little girl at a party and goes, "That girl looks familiar." Then she finds out it's one of her son's friend's sister, and there's a woman, and she gets close to them, really close, and then she keeps getting through her mind that this is her daughter, and it's a whole cliche thing of how she's creepily watching them. She thinks it's her daughter. She tries to take her back. Find out that it's all true. Sorry to spoil it, but it was not a great movie. Luke Evans didn't really offer that much, and it was just like, yeah. You could see it from the moment where she thinks that's her daughter, and you know she's gonna do anything in her power to get her back, even if people think they're crazy, like having an intervention, all that stuff, just to prove that she's right, that she's not going crazy, that she never really lost her daughter, that Yvonne Strahovski stole her daughter, yada yada yada. So the movie itself wasn't that long, 90 minutes, but it's just not worth your time because you kind of see what's going to happen. Bloodline with Sean William Scott of Do Where's My Car and later season of Lethal Weapon is in this movie where he was abused as a kid from his father and his mother took care of it. He's got all the psychological issues, but people won't know it. He's married, he has a kid, he finally gets to be a father, but his day job is a school counselor, social worker, where he deals with kids who have abusive relatives. It could be a parent, it could be uncle, aunt, whatever it is. And he's worried about the well-being because he doesn't like the fact that these kids are being abused. So he takes it upon himself in one of those slasher movies where it could definitely be horror, but there's some psychological aspects to it, that he just starts killing all these people. And you're like, Is somebody going to find out it's him? Is he going to get caught? All these other things. So it's very cliche. You know that when he starts killing, he's not going to stop, and that he's because he can't help it. He's like, I killed before, I'm going to kill again. So no offense to Sean William Scott. Not that great. Again, 90-minute movie doesn't take that long. Then I watched a movie called Satanic Picnic, where these people, these rich people are like trying to summon a demon through a virgin and have the baby there, which is weird. It's also not that long of a movie, and they call it a comedy horror, and it's, an hour, 20-something minutes. And obviously it's one of those movies where you're at the wrong place at the wrong time. Struggling woman who survived cancer takes a pizza delivery job on one of those little moped things. Goes somewhere that's out of the range. Doesn't get tipped. Needs gas money because her moped's not working. Goes into the house. They kidnap her. Jerry O'Connell's in there, and he's an okay actor. But again, it's the second time I've seen Jerry O'Connell in a really dumb horror comedy film. And Rebecca Romijn is the head of this cult. It's weird. And you just go into yourself like, what did this girl get herself into? Because, And also, this woman who played the main character, Sam Haley Griffith, doesn't have a Wikipedia page. Never heard of her. But it's interesting that also in the movie, the mother doesn't care about her daughter's well-being. And I've seen this woman before. She was in Happy Death Day. She also was at an episode of God Friended Me. So I've seen this person before, Ruby Modine, so it's interesting. So basically, she's got to survive this satanic cult that's trying to use her, blah, 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 blah. She's not just dealing with crazy parents, crazy kids, crazy pets, all this voodoo magic crap, and she's trying to survive the movie. So it's a survival horror film. But this movie is going to be like she's either going to die or she's going to survive, and something bad in her survival is going to happen. So, yeah, not that great of a movie. It was interesting enough to sit through the movie because it wasn't that long, and actors like Jerry O'Connell, Rebecca Romijn. But it's like, too much blood, too much creepy, weird crap going on. It's just not my thing. The next movie that I watched was Corporate Animals. Corporate Animals was the movie with Demi Moore, and you're just like, it's been a while since you've seen her in a movie. Well, this is because she doesn't like to act in many movies. She's kind of not running out of doing it, and I'm just like, well, I think she made a mistake. She should have stayed out of the limelight, because this movie where Ed Helms plays the guide and he's barely in the movie, no spoilers, that it's just not worth your time. Now, this movie is one of those short comedy horror films where a lot of people in it. You recognize Jessica Williams from her stuff. You recognize Karan Soni from stuff. Isaiah Whitlock Jr. Dan Bacadali, you've seen him before. He's a comedic actor from Life in Pieces. Nasim Pedrad's in the movie. Martha Kelly's a comedian. Jennifer Kim supposedly is a singer. So you got a bunch of people in the world of acting and comedy that you see in this movie. And you're like, I recognize them, but what do I know them from? You just really know Ed Helms and Demi Moore. And it's basically, Demi Moore runs this successful company and takes her people on a retreat. And instead of just making it easy, she tries to have them go through the hard, going through caves and rock climbing and stuff. And of course, they all get stuck. And you know what happens in these movies where you get trapped? You run out of supplies because you didn't plan. Run out of food and water. And eventually, they turn on each other. People die. People eat. It just turned to cannibalism. All these other crap. And it was just like they're fighting with each other. Truths come out. So you could see that it was just going to go all bad from the beginning. And yeah, just all over the place of a movie. And of course, the movie was going to end with all of them dying. But some people had to die in the movie. And also, Callum Worthy, who I enjoyed in that rap battle movie, he was in there, but he played some idiot, so it wasn't that special. So I've seen Nasim Pedrad do something post-SNL. But yeah, Corporate Animals, not the type of movie you want to spend your time watching. So the next movie I watched was because a couple did not want to load on the website. So I watched this short movie called Polaroid, where it was based off People Could Save. Twilight Zone, Goosebumps. It's a short film, and what it was is one of these Canadian movies that was made, and it's not like a short film, but it's a very short feature-length film, an hour 20 minutes, where you, as watching this movie, you see Cheryl Blossom, actress from Riverdale. You see the lead actress of Pandora, Priscilla Quintana. Okay, you see Samantha Logan, who plays Olivia Baker on All American. You got people from other shows. The main one, Catherine Prescott, from the show Skins. So you got all these characters in this movie. The main character and her love interest. Priscilla Quintana's boyfriend in the movie. I said you got Samantha Logan, from the CW show, All Americans in the movie. There's some popular girls, and then of course, as I said, Riverdale girl. And because it's filmed in Nova Scotia, pretty much all the actors you may have heard of in this movie have all, acted before, but they're either Canadian actor, Canadian-based actor, like Shauna McDonald and Mitch Pileggi. And Mitch Pileggi plays the sheriff in town. And basically, it's a haunted camera. When you take Polaroids, you're the next one to die. And they got to figure out why it's doing it. They feel that it was a guy, a teacher who taught film at the school years ago, who took photos and then tried to kill these people, and his daughter committed suicide, all that weird stuff. So it's all over the place. It's very cliche and not that great of a horror film, because everybody's going to die essentially, and maybe one of the main people survive. But I felt like, they threw this cheesy movie that was based off a short film from years ago, off ideas they've done before, and pretty much every actor, or most of them, are either Canadian-based or Canadian actor, or they're all on CW. You take someone from Riverdale, someone from All American, and somebody from Pandora on CW. It's like a whole entire CW thing put together of a movie. Even though it's not that long, and it's super gory and scary-ish a bit, it's also just not a good use of your time. If you want to watch the CW actor, see them in the respective shows like Riverdale, All American, or Skins, okay? It's not a CW show, but still. And the last movie I watched was Under the Silver Lake. And I'm not usually a fan of movies that are 2 hours plus, but this one was, 2 hours and like 10 to 15 minutes long. It was one of these like drug-induced type of stories where like, why would they make a movie about this? Why would this go happen? Why doesn't this guy just move on? Why doesn't he just move out of his place that he's being evicted? Moving to Topher Grace, who's in the movie, who plays his friend. Or the other friend who's famous for being McBoyle on It's Always Sunny Philadelphia, That would be the moves. People that your friends would move in or move back in with your mother. But there wouldn't be a movie then. So that's the interesting thing. He looks for this girl played by Riley Coog, who was nice to her. But he has a girlfriend, so just what I'm saying, it just makes no sense as well. Ricky Lindrome, we know her from Big Bang Theory. She's the love interest. She's in the movie. And all these actors, like Rex Linn is the guy trying to kick him out. You're getting all over the place where basically Andrew Garfield decides he's going to figure out what happened to this girl. Follow the girls, the lead, to all these weird LA underground bars and clubs and movies at the cemetery and these concerts and all these weird things that all these people do who probably do a lot of drugs. They drink all the time. They're like weird hippy dippy people, call girls, all this weird stuff, following it until he almost kills himself because of what's going on. Some weird culty stuff was in there. The Silver Sun Pickups were a band in the movie, and that's a pretty interesting rock band. There's a fake rock band with a guy named Jesus who's pretty stupid. So pretty much, there's a lot of dumb things happening throughout the movie, things you can't believe. It's hard to keep track with who in this movie who's in this movie, because there's the girl he's with, the girl he's chasing after, the call girls, balloon girl, these girls in the band, other actors and stuff. It was just all over the place, and they gotta throw in his ex-girlfriend. It's just, but here's the thing though, it wasn't boring. Most times I watch a 2-hour movie, I'm just like, yeah, it's boring. Like, there's a guy who was drawing these graphic novels that are all over the place, who are stuck with conspiracies, Patrick Fischler, who people seen before. So it's like, recognize these actors. He's going on this long-winded journey. There's a famous rich person who's supposedly dead, being buried in a tomb. And for a movie that's 2 hours, 10 minutes to 15, you're like, this is a long movie. It's going to be boring like some other movies. No, because pretty much there's weird stuff going on throughout the movie. It's adventure, it's mystery, trying to figure things out, even if it's just weirdness going on. So it's interesting that it kept my attention throughout pretty much the whole entire movie. There wasn't that many wasted scenes. But yeah, Under the Silver Lake, if you want to sit through a 2 hour plus movie, watch it. If you want to sit there and watch bad horror films, you can watch Polaroid, you can watch Corporate Animals or Panic, which are both comedy horror, Bloodline slasher film, or a creepy thriller movie where you think your daughter is not dead and somebody stole her and you're trying to get her back. But yeah, so pretty much every movie had a horror theme. Only the movies I pretty much watch on DVD, Superman Red Sun and Under Silver Lake, were the movies that are worth your time watching. Thank you for listening to another edition of On the Radar's Movie Reviews and Observation number 17. See you guys next time.